A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Priya Shramankar, and it gives me immense pleasure to say this that I will be your anchor, that is, your host for today. Firstly, I would like to extend a warm welcome to each one of you to the third edition of the world's largest fintech fest, the Global Fintech Fest, organized by the National Payments Corporation of India, Payments Council of India, and Fintech Convergence Council. This edition of the fest is supported by the Department of Economic Affairs, RBI, and IFSCA. Before we jump on to the introduction of our speaker and the session, I would also like to thank our partners who have supported us in this edition. I would like to thank our theme partner, WhatsApp, co-powered by Amazon Pay, spend management partner Encash, in association with Perfios, payments partner Cash Free Payments, CEO's dinner partner HSBC. Along with that, I would also like to thank our platinum partners, Google Pay, PhonePe, Visa, M2P FinTech, MasterCard, Falcon, and Entity Data Payment Services. Now it's time to begin with our session, the speeches and discussion at the Global Fintech Fest 2022 will cover a range of initiatives and intervention. So let us firstly begin with the first topic of discussion for the day, that is the fintech landscape Japan, which is a part of our knowledge sharing session. We're glad to have our esteemed speaker for the same, and I would like to invite Ms. Yuko Kawai, Director, FinTech Association of Japan and CEO, Japan Digital Design Inc. I welcome you, Yuko, and I think we're good to begin with this session, the discussion. Firstly, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much for the great introduction. I'm so honored to be the first speaker of this great GFF, and I'm quite excited. Let me share my screen for my speech. Let me see how I can do it.
Thank you, Yuko. I hand over, ladies and gentlemen, I hand over this session to Yuko Kawai.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm sharing my screen without any problem. Am I okay? Doing okay?
Yes, Yuko, I can see your presentation.
Thank you very much. So again, thank you very much for having me here. I'm so excited to speak at GFF as the first speaker of the day. I will discuss the fintech ecosystem in Japan, but I will I will touch upon the general topic outside of Japan or the global, the issues common to global, and I hope there will be some takeaways for the audience. So first, the introduction about myself. I've been engaged in the financial business for over 30 years. I've started my career in the American bank. It's now a part of JP Morgan Chase. And I then moved over to the central bank, the Bank of Japan, and that's where I met fintech. I'm currently heading a tech R&D company in a large banking group, which is called Japan Digital Design Inc., under the umbrella of Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, which is one of the largest banking groups in Japan. And I am serving as a board member for the FinTech Association of Japan, and I'm talking on behalf of the association today. Today's agenda. I will first I will first talk about the FinTech Association Japan, which I hope to give you a background of the good landscape, the good glimpse of the landscape of the FinTech developments in Japan. And then I will move over to the FinTech ecosystem in Japan, starting with the background and talk about the developments into the current status. And I will discuss the public supports, very strong public supports we are given are the one of the features that we are proud of about Japanese fintech ecosystem. And I will put some words on the future, the personal perspective, including personal perspective for going forward at the end. So first, the Fintech Association Japan. What is it? We created this association, the predecessor of this association, to be precise, in year 2014. Year 2014, if you recall it, was the year when the word fintech started started gathering some attractions even from the outside common world. Some media reports were released to talk about the fintech, maybe as disruptors or the invaders to the incumbent financial institutions, or it was around that year that the big payment tech platform have gained its momentum in China for the to be grown into the gigantic the payment system in later years. Or it was the year when the people's attention were given to the the assets. At the time, it was called cryptocurrencies, the crypto assets, because it was prior to the in a year prior in 2013, there was a major incident surrounding the Bitcoin. That was the huge runaway of the bitcoins from the one of the the exchanges operating in Japan, Mt. Gox. That was the year when the FAJ, the Fintech Association Japan, started its activities. It's a general incorporated association that promotes open innovation in the Japanese fintech industry. And it is the vital networking joint amongst members and with the other domestic international government organizations. We have two layers of the memberships. One is the layer for the startup. We have like close to 200 the members from the startup community in the FinTech Association. The second layer is consists of the larger companies, including incumbent financial institutions like the banks and the insurance companies, and also the payment companies and telecommunications and others who want to have the connection with the fintech industry or the fintech services. This is quite important. This composition of the association really represents the components of the fintech ecosystem in Japan, that it is composed of the fintech the startups and also the big presence of by the incumbent or the large the corporations. Association's major activities are follows. We have very active subcommittees, and each committee discusses sectorial topical issues, and some committees communicate with the regulatory bodies, um, sometimes make the proposals or the suggestions to the existing regulations or the potential regulations to come. We have compliance, lending, insurance, cashless money transfer, RegTech, SubTech, capital markets, online factoring, cybersecurity, security and cybersecurity and data transactions, and the ESG subcommittees. We conduct workshops, meetups, and conference. We conduct we offer one of the largest fintech conferences in Japan. The association offers business matching, facilitates business matching amongst the members and also with the outside of the association. It has very strong government relation and the global collaboration, and we have like 34 or over 30 the memorandums of understandings, and one of them brought me here today. So in summary, the association has the very good collaboration network and domestic, international, and public
Hi,
private.
Yuko.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Your screen is stuck, I think. It's not showing any presentation at the moment.
Okay. Let me
Yeah, I
try.
can see it now. No, not again. Can you share it again?
Okay, I will. All right. Let me switch over. Is it showing?
Yes, but not on a full screen mode. Yeah, this is fine.
Okay, all right.
Perfect. All
So
right, thanks.
okay, so I finished discussing the major activities by the association. I hope that this gives you a good glimpse of the landscape of the fintech ecosystem in Japan. Like we are trying to coordinate domestically, internationally, and we are having the close relationship between the public sector and the private sector. So that's the scene. So on the back of that, the fintech ecosystem in Japan. First, the background, the where Japan stands in terms of economy and financial system, which is a very important background to the fintech ecosystem in Japan. Japan is known to be starting to lose its population. On the very right, you see the graph of population in comparison to India, where the population is growing. In red, you see that Japan is starting to lose its population. In the middle, you see the absolute level of the population, and that shows that Japan is approximately 1/10 of India in its absolute level. But on the very left-hand side, even though its population is declining, we still see the sizable economy. It's ranking global number 3 in GDP size, which approximates the size of the economy after United States and China. So I will summarize the situation in Japan as low economic growth with declining population, yet GDP or the economy is sizable. What about payments or the and financial inclusion? On the very left of this, on the very left chart, you see the bank account holding ratio for the population over age 15, and you see very close to 100% in Japan. And on the credit card owning, which is the middle graph, you see close to 70%. So it's again high. On the very right, this is a proportion of the ones who have experienced the digital payments, and that's reasonably high, over 80%. So through them, and by these next three graphs, we are okay with the financial inclusion. We seem to be doing well on the digital payment front. However, this graph comes. This is a very famous graph, and some of you may have seen it because it was, I think, mentioned by the Reserve Bank of India, the Central Bank of India once. This is the graph crafted by the BIS, Bank of International Settlements, and shows the currency in circulation in proportion to the GDP. So this is the amount of the currency which each country has in its system in comparison to the size of the economy. And the higher the number, you have more cash. You see on the very top, Japan, the red line, followed by blue, Hong Kong, and third, India, yellow. So it seems to be some contradiction with these graphs I've shown before. That it seems like financial inclusion and some digital inclusion are fine with Japan, yet we have much cash in the system. So what's happening? We don't know precisely the reason why the cash is so. I mean, again, cash. There is so much cash in the system, but we have some hypothesis that leads to the pain points of the users on the user side. So in Japan, financial inclusion is not a problem because everybody has an access to the bank, but digital inclusion may be a problem, is a problem. Cash is still important in saving and in our payments. And maybe one of the reasons is that our aging population who may not be so familiar with or so comfortable with the digital technologies. And I didn't show you the data backing up this, but there are another set of data which shows that there is insufficient digital investment by the corporations. The other part of the pain points on the user side is that aging population that needs needs to have the investment tools or the better access to the investment tools. The graph on this slide shows that the proportion of people who saved for the old age, and Japan counts in the high ranking, like close to 60%, but it's not enough yet. The other side of the financial systems also have some pain points, And background is that the environment, the surrounding the banking system is changing dramatically. The graph on this slide shows the trend of the interest rates after the global financial crisis, so-called Lehman shock, and ever since the interest rate has been dropping dramatically. That means that the profitability, the profit margin for the bank is diminishing. And also on top of that, deregulation progressed dramatically. It means that there are more chances for the banks, but also at the same time, it means that there is less protection from the government. So banks really need to face their clients on their and by themselves. So the pain points on the service provider side is quite clear that it needs to deploy cost-cutting measures because it's facing the declining the profit margin, and financial institutions need to become customer-centric because it has less protection from the government. Therefore, it needs to have more access to the fintech companies or the fintech services through the connections. So in summary, the pain points are as follows. On the user side, digital inclusion, both on the individuals and corporations, and investment tools for the aging populations. And on the bank side, on the service provider side, the cost-cutting measures, connection with the technology. So those are the pain points we face in Japan. So how the fintech ecosystem are faring against those pain points? There are like many touching points the fintech services or the fintech companies can do. The one avenue is where the banks and incumbent financial institutions are facing the client's digital UI, or the client data analysis is another part. It requires API connections, and also the non-FI companies are trying to like connect with the banks to disintermediate the financial services, which make the cost which produces the cost effectiveness. So banking as a service, data sharing, and the combination of the financial institutions and non-financial institution services are also like working here. And the other part is the internal, the procedures. Like as I said, cost-cutting measures are quite important. So business process automation, client-driven service designs. This is one of the recently focused area for the financial institutions. And with the rise of the COVID crisis, work from home technologies, and also the cloudization, because many banks are still yet using the mainframe the computer architecture, which need to change clearly in the rise of the cloud technologies. Also, the other parts are there, like the further digitalization payments, especially in the tokenization or the information sharing, especially with the regulatory authorities like RegTech, are also like rising. So these are the frontiers we are observing the developments of the fintechs in Japan. This is quite different from the scene in China, in my personal view. Like in China, as everybody knows that the developments came from non-financial institution sides. The big tech companies, they created the huge digital platforms, attracting so many customer points. They combining financial services and non-financial services. And eventually, the data collected by these platforms are serving the banking sector. This is quite different from what we are observing in Japan, which is like more or less a bank or the incumbent financial institution centric. Having said that, we also have in Japan the independent innovators, the independent from the incumbent financial institutions, like non-FI independent innovators, the including platforms, neobanks originated by e-commerce, communication technologies companies like those non-financial institution companies. Or new economic activities may rise from the crypto or virtual players, which are quite active in Japan. I will discuss this crypto virtual world later in my presentation. The public supports. This is another piece of what's quite notable in Japanese fintech ecosystem. We have very strong public supports. One is from the national side. The financial regulator, the Financial Service Agency, FSA, has been embracing innovations and technologies quite strongly. They have very clear focus on blockchain technologies. It has a very strong commitment to the industry discussions will begin. Some of you may know about this organization, Blockchain Governance Initiative Network, which is a global network, the attracting practitioners as well as academia, and discuss the issues and developments in the blockchain world. And FSA is an active member of that. The FinTech Support Desk, they've created one successfully. It's providing one-stop service to answer regulatory questions, and it operates the FinTech, the proof of concepts. And this POC hub is working quite well as well. And also, the FSA legislation. Japan is one of the rare countries when there is a very clear legislation for the crypto exchanges. But crypto exchanges are like obliged to make some reports to FSAs and being monitored by FSA. And on the back of that, the users are protected and users can trust the crypto exchanges because they are being monitored by the FSA. So it's a very clear advantage. There is a legal, it removes all the legal uncertainties from the crypto exchange operations. So those are the supports, the examples of the supports, which are given by our financial regulator, FSA. This QR code leads to the link to the FSA. It includes other activities, but we quite appreciate these supports and we use them to develop our industry. The public support too, the second part of the public supports come from the local governments. And one of the examples is the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, which is our capital city, which includes our capital city, which is quite committed to embrace fintech and other innovations as well. The public-private organization, they form a public-private organization, FinCity Tokyo, which conducts various activities to support foreign companies, investors. They solicit they solicit the foreign companies, investors in Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo Metropolitan Government offers free consultancy services and support regarding necessary government procedures, which always is a headache for anybody who wants to start operating in a new foreign country. Other mega cities like the Osaka and Fukuoka are following, and they are also active in these types of activities. So here's a QR code that leads to the FinCity Tokyo. And if one needs to have an access to the easy access to like how to start themselves up in Japan, this is the place to visit first. This is the vision and mission of the FinCity Tokyo, which is shown on the FinCity Tokyo website. It's based on the global financial city Tokyo vision, and it aims to become Tokyo aims to become an Asian financial hub and providing the solutions to the social problems. And that FinCity Tokyo has some capacities to the promotion, policy shaping, and collaboration. It's not only Japan, but it's also like true in many countries that the collaborations amongst many relevant authorities, sometimes it just confuses the foreign investors or foreign companies to operate in a country. But the Tokyo City Metropolitan Government, FinCity Tokyo wants to take an initiative to coordinate amongst them. So these are the examples of what's being given by the public as a support to promote the fintechs. Now, as a last part of my presentation, I would like to put some words, a personal thoughts for the future going forward. The topic one I would like to raise is the central bank digital currency. This is the this is getting so much attention these days that the many central banks, including Bank of Japan, are seriously starting to study the practical aspects of the CBDC. Japan, as well as many other advanced economy, the central banks, have not come to the go-ahead decision, but Japan is also, amongst the many others, Japan is also studying and designing systems and the regulations and technologies. It hasn't come to the conclusion yet for the go-ahead, but once the day comes that they need to go ahead, they want to be ready because it really cannot be. I mean, you really need to have technologies, you need to have regulations, you need to have system in place, and also you need to align the practitioners to come forward for the central bank digital currency dissemination and usages. So it wants to be ready if they need to be ready. We at this moment, Japan at this moment lacks the killer use cases, important use cases for domestic settlement, I would say. And we are discussing much about it. While the cross-border payments face pain points as many other countries do, both for the wholesale and the retail users. Needless to say that the cross-border payments for Japan, as to the many countries, suffer from the high expensive fees and also the time-consuming procedures. So there, we have much hope. I mean, everybody hopes that the central bank digital currency may be able to offer some solutions to those pain points. But in order for us to get an access to the cross-border payment system utilizing the CBDC, we need to have the domestic CBDC system. And there, we really need to justify ourselves to build how to build the system for the domestic system for the CBDC in order to join the international payment system as well. So not only the Bank of Japan, but also the private sector, the potential participants, including but not limited to the banks and fintech companies, are studying CBDC quite heavily at this moment. One question I have, which is unanswered, I don't have an answer for that at this moment, is it's gonna we need some years, not month, but we need some years before we see CBDC comes to the scene. Do we need to have the private sector stable coins to fill the gap? I'm not sure. But I mean, there are some stablecoin companies who are starting to operate, especially in the cross-border payment field. And in Japan as well, there's some companies are trying to offer, or they're offering already, the stable coins, they link to the legal tender in Japan, Japanese yen. So do we have the scaling, the demands for the stable coins for the stable coins linked to Japanese yen now? As I said, I'm not sure, but this is a closely watched area, and I'm crossing my fingers. I mean, and the trying to keep myself updated on the progress. The second point I would like to raise for the future is the growing virtual world. What's that to do with our real life, and also with the financial services. Metaverse is one of the eye-catching words. Is one of the eye-catching words that we often hear these days, and it's expanding. The very typical example of the metaverse is the online gaming. But now, like the metaverse, the word metaverse is like expanding beyond that. Are there like Web3 or the Web 2.5, whatever you want to call it, bridges to link different metaverses? Are there bridges to link virtual worlds to real world? Financial transactions are completed in metaverse only? When there are many questions and many possibilities to think about metaverse. And Japan is experimenting many things beyond the online games. Virtual cities, and the cross interaction between the metaverse and the real world in the commerce and even in the financial transactions area. So some of the financial institutions are trying to set up their shops, some of the virtual shops on the some of the metaverses. So it's just still at the very infant stage, but it seems to me that it's worthwhile experimenting. So this is the area I'm watching closely, closely at this moment. Why Japan in this area? Japan has very good capabilities in gaming and 2D content. Some of the very major the game contents are from Japan. And there are many there are communities for the creators on the gaming and 2D. NFT, the other buzzword, it's shedding lights on the creators communities, and we're quite excited about it. So there are so many like developments in the NFT front in Japan as well, which may or may not fly out as they are now. But we are watching it, and when some of the fintech companies are directly involved in this area as well. And Japanese government, again, there comes the public sector of Japan. Japanese government puts Web3 and it's the word Web3 in its national growth strategy, which is quite phenomenal. So now everybody's watching at the possibility of Web3 or the kind of Web3 and trying how we can develop the technologies as well as the practical contents. The third but very important point, the last but very important point, data. Data usage is finally seriously explored in the financial industry in Japan. It has not been so active, but now it's becoming quite active. Currently, they're used for recommendations, which is marketing, or the credit analysis for the loans and the others, around crimes detections like AMLs and other types of financial crimes, investments and trading in the financial markets. I mean, there's many applications being explored for the data usage now. It's now starting and it's growing dramatically. At this moment, it still lacks the industry standard in terms of compliance, security, and how to do the data analysis and how to raise the data technology people and so forth. But when the gradually and firmly the age of data usage is coming in the finance industry. The big question is how we collaborate with other industries. I mean, it's starting, but there are some cultural resistance, and also who will take. There seems to be some discussion about who will take the customer fronting platforms. So again, like things are moving on this front as well, and this is one of the very exciting areas from my personal view. So this is the almost the last page of my presentation. Food for thoughts. The Japan, why Japan? Aging, shrinking population may eventually become everybody's problem, even in Asia. So Japan will need to go ahead in solving this problem by embracing more techs, including fintech. And Japan will be a good place to do those experimental works in fighting against or coping with the aging and shrinking population. Two, the technological developments. The technologies make the globe borderless. Somebody told me that the blockchain is not an international technology, but it's a global technology. The reason why this person described the blockchain as global, not international, is that international requires the existence of nation, but blockchain does not assume there is a nation. It's truly connecting an individual dot to another individual dot, and there's no need for the intermediary called country. So I don't know whether it's like a true Web3 blockchain type of the dot to dot connecting the world will the materialize in the near future. But it is true that technology makes the world borderless. So the Japan is again like standing at the frontier of that. As I said, the FinTech Association Japan is like the is actively looking for the connections with the global peers. So are the industries, the fintech industry itself. So again, we are trying to be very open on this frontier and they take the full advantage of technological developments. So again, like Japan, I believe Japan is at one of the changing frontiers. So we would like to welcome anybody who wants to operate in this environment. Welcome to Japan. The last page, which is maybe the most important page for me. This is the contact QR for the FinTech Association of Japan. One note, the one apology that the at this moment, because the lack of the staffs, most of the events are conducted in Japanese only. But of course, we welcome the members from the foreign countries, regardless of their nation, and also like we welcome English messages as well. So thank you very much. I stop my presentation here, and if in left minutes, if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Yuko, for that wonderful presentation. I am sure the precise graph and numbers, the discussions of the blockchain technology, and embracing fintech will be very conducive to our audience. So that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And now I would like to take a few minutes for our audience to post any questions if they have. So I think Yuko, there's one question coming in.
Okay.
The question is, I'm posting it to you, can you elaborate more on blockchain technology?
Okay. Can you elaborate more on the blockchain technology? Um, there are many aspects I want to discuss blockchain. I need another hour to talk about blockchain. But at this moment, my personal focus at this moment is what's called soul-bound token. Maybe like people who are in the blockchain industry is familiar with the soul-bound token, which is non-transferable token, which represents an identity. So the people argue that the even the blockchain technology trying to connect dots, individual dots, to be a very global, very Web3 technology. It seems like the crypto exchanges or the like even NFT exchanges are very centric on like Web2 type of the operation. So what makes you to be more Web3 connecting dots directly and they those like dot network the world. So like the Solval token may be one solution, which may have like many advantage and maybe disadvantages. So this is what I'm like looking closely at now, like how we make the Web3 like connecting dot type of the world materialize.
Thank you, Yuko. We have another question coming in. The
Okay.
shrinking population issue seems an issue all over the globe. How technological developments here plays a crucial role.
technological developments can support the elderlies. I mean, like very, it's very natural to think about technologies like the physical technologies to support the losing power, or the physical technologies to um, like to to help the physical disablement, and also the communications through the digital technologies make elderlies more happy, making their communications more seamless and borderless type of things. So I mean, there are many things some of the technologies can help the elderlies and the shrink and elderlies, and that makes elderlies workable and livable and operatable in the society. That is one of the solutions for the shrinking population. So that's one. And I mean, there are many other things. I mean, you can think about the aging, shrinking population. The what will be the support for the what will be the support from technologies. So the we are still in the in this in the process of like looking for what will be the killer contents and what will be the killing applications. I mean, how the technologies can help these that tackle those problems. But the possible solutions are the ones I just mentioned.
That's wonderful, Yuko. I think very aptly and rightly answered. All right, I don't think I have any more questions to post. So I think with that, Yuko, do you have any other words to speak?
No, thank you very, very much for having me here. And I think this is a great opportunity for me to be connected to India, with the country I love so much. And it's a great combination that you are the country where the population is still growing and population is still young relative to the Japan and other economies. And you really shouldn't repeat the mistakes we've made. So I think we can learn from each other quite a lot, and I think we have more to collaborate with.
That's rightly said. So, with that, we come to a close of this session. I would like to thank Yuko for this wonderful session that you held, and to all our audience also for joining this session. It was definitely an illuminating and a very, very helpful and a wonderful presentation. So, a round of applause for you. A wonderful session, Yuko. Thank you so much. And I think I would just want to say that it is our honor to have you as our speaker for the Global Fintech Fest 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
very
having said
much.
that, I would also like to thank again our partners who have supported us in this edition, our communications partner, Kalare, banking partner, Standard Chartered Bank, our diamond partners, PayU, AWS, Kia.ai, Paytm, and our networking partner, Buddy Loan. Thank you again, Hugo, for this wonderful presentation. Like I said, it was an honor to have you here, and to all our audience for joining the session. With that, I, anchor Priya Shramanka, formally close this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.